Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron is here. Welcome back, everyone, for this evening's segment of SPTV. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. So yesterday, my friend Andrew Gold did a live interview on his channel with current Scientologist Katie Lohmann. Now, Katie is also, I don't know, can I say this word 30 seconds into a live stream? Well, I can probably say Playmate. Katie was a Playmate in a well-known magazine. You can just Google her name, you filthy animals. I'm not going to do it for you. I already have done it. Okay, so okay, so this was an interview. Andrew Gold, my friend Andrew's done a lot of content on his channel about Scientology, most of it negative. He's also done a lot of content on Tom Cruise. Now, it turns out Katie has a pretty incredible story on how Tom Cruise personally introduced her to Scientology in her dreams. And I have some other special Katie Tom Cruise content that I found on YouTube. Or actually, someone just sent it to me about 20 minutes ago. I'm going to share it with you. This video is actually going to be a reaction video to Andrew's interview. I have a whole list of little time segments. I've gone through the whole thing, so we're not going to watch the whole interview. Obviously, it's over an hour long. But I've got little time stamps, and we're going to go through them, and we're going to take our time. We're going to have a little fun with this. So let me get in my little earbud here. And at the end of the video, I'll go through the comments and respond to any super chats. So here, let me add this to the stream. Let's see, which view are we going to go with here? Probably this one. By the way, I've already included the link in the description to the full interview on Andrew's channel. I definitely suggest you watch the entire thing because we're just going to be doing the greatest hits here. This is going to be fun. Okay, so the first segment we're going to start with here is 35 seconds into the interview. So here we go.
Right. We want them, yeah.
What was it?
We want people to learn. We want them to learn. We want them to see, I want them to see things with all perspective, not just necessarily people who have left Scientology, but a current Scientologist. And that's why it was so important. And that's why I reached out to you and I really want to do your show, is because I feel like there's so much good that's in Scientology and it gets shadowed by just a few people that have left. And it's always the same group of people that are speaking extremely negatively about it. And here's the bottom line, Andrew. Scientology doesn't work for everybody. But if it does work for you, it's amazing. If it works, then it really works.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. Okay. Okay. First of all, Katie is going to get in trouble for doing this interview. I know that she thinks that she's not. But as we're going to learn in this interview, Katie doesn't even do her Scientology courses at a Scientology org or mission. Katie lives in Arkansas. There's not a Scientology org in the entire state of Arkansas. Katie does her Scientology courses as extension courses. Now, in this interview, she did used to live in LA because she used to be a Playmate. And interestingly enough, in this entire interview, she doesn't actually say which Scientology organization she was on lines at. I never heard her mention whether it was Celebrity Center or LA org or, Valley or anything. Why did she move from California to Arkansas? We don't know. But Katie's going to tell us that she's been in Scientology for 9 years. And we learn in this interview, Katie has never done anything but introductory Scientology courses. I have never met someone who spent 9 years in Scientology and has only done introductory Scientology courses. But Katie wanted to be the spokesperson, the one to speak on behalf of the good name of Scientology, defend the good name of Scientology. And as a lower level Scientologist, as an introductory level Scientologist, Katie may not know, you are not allowed to say that Scientology doesn't work on everybody. Scientologists are supposed to believe and say that Scientology works 100% of the time when applied 100% correctly. And at more than one place in this interview, Katie says Scientology doesn't work on everybody. So yeah, that's just the one thing I wanted to point out. And you notice for someone who is a lower level Scientologist, it's also kind of telling to me that she forwards this propaganda line that Scientology says. It's always the same small group of people speaking negatively about Scientology. No, it's not. It's just mathematically true that the loudest, most visible names, faces, or voices are going to be the smaller number than the tens of thousands of former Scientologists who just don't have YouTube channels or weren't on a TV show or weren't in a documentary. It's so lazy. It's so lazy and such low-hanging fruit to be like, it's always the same people. It's because there's only a handful of us who want to bother talking about it all the time. Okay, so the next clip we are going to watch is at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And this is when Katie's trying to talk about how Scientology gives you tools for life. Let's watch.
And then I take that information and I apply it to my life. You know,
what kind of tools are we talking about? Like roughly, what's the kind of thing that somebody who's not a Scientologist can learn from doing the, you know, the first few courses and things?
Oh, number one would be communication. And number two would be self-confidence. One of the smaller courses that I did that I found amazing, and it was like $50, was personal values and integrity. I didn't think I was going to get much from that because I consider myself to have personal values and integrity, you know, to a certain degree. And within starting that course, I was crying within like 10 minutes, which, okay, that may not sound like a great thing, but it was a total release because I realized that I was harboring secrets for other people and it was affecting me. Like,
okay, we're going to pause it there. Alrighty. Okay, thoughts. He asks her for real examples of tools. She says communication and confidence. I mean, I don't want to nitpick and just criticize every single word that comes out of her mouth, but okay, communication is probably a tool that Scientology does focus on. And you know, a good communication gets you far in life. Self-confidence. I don't know. Is self-confidence a tool? I don't know. It's a personality trait. I don't know if you can, I don't know. It's a tool, I guess, if you can fake it, I guess. But then she starts talking about personal values and integrity. Personal values and integrity is the introductory course that teaches you essentially that what is wrong with you is all of the bad things that you've done. And as a part of the personal values and integrity course, that's the first time you learn the Scientology procedure of writing down your overts and withholds. Overts are things you've done that are bad, and withholds are times that you should have told somebody about that thing and you didn't, or times somebody gave you the impression they might have known that you did that thing, but you don't know for sure if they know, and it makes you wonder if they know, that kind of stuff. And that's all she talks about, because Katie's never done a major course in Scientology before, and she's only done the purification rundown. I didn't even include the portion of this video where she talks about the purification rundown because it's so it's so superficial and, oh, I felt great, I felt wonderful, and you should do it and you'd feel wonderful too, and the reason I wanted to highlight this clip is that imagine thinking that joining Scientology and spending decades and giving them time and money and sacrificing family was worth something like doing some communication drills or having some self-confidence or feeling relief from guilt of some things that you did. And Andrew actually responds to this by saying, you know, there's a lot of other ways to accomplish those things that don't involve actually joining a cult. Okay, the next clip that we are going to look at starts at 5:15. Here we go.
Well, of course it would. But there are many self-help books. There are many therapies you could go to. I know that's a bad word in Scientology to an extent. What psychiatry is, but you can go and see a therapist, I think, talk it through with people. Right. I think getting things out in the open is a good thing.
Here's the difference, though. If you go and you talk to a therapist, they're going to try to tell you who you are. in Scientology, you make that discovery. Yes, they do. They always try to tell you.
They don't. In fact, it's frustrating that they don't. It's frustrating they just sit there. I think psychologists are known for just going, "Well, how do you feel?"
They do listen, but then they always sit there and take their little pamphlet and write, has daddy issues or has this or that. And I feel like they're trying to tell you who you are, or they're trying to stereotype who you are. And in Scientology, they don't do that. It's you come to the conclusion about who you are, what you want, how you want your life to be. There's none of that. Because like as a therapist, you go to a school and you're basically put people kind of in like one of three categories. In Scientology, it's just all about you discovering who you are and going, yeah, you know what? That's why I did this, or that's why I did that. Oh man, gosh, if I only had joined Scientology sooner, you know?
Sorry, that one's worthy of a good laugh. Okay. Let me see. Some thoughts on this. First of all, again, she repeats this very basic Scientology trope that therapists tell you what's wrong with you. And in Scientology, you discover for yourself kind of what's wrong with you. I will admit that is a stereotype of therapists that I have, only because I know that's what Scientology told me. Now, I do put that opinion sort of into a bucket of shit you don't really know because you've never seen a therapist. But all she's doing is repeating Scientology talking points. I thought it was interesting. She doesn't actually say in the interview whether she's ever had therapy herself or not. How does she know what the therapist is writing on the notepad? I thought it was pretty funny that she went right to daddy issues. Okay, maybe a little close to home. But all I'm saying is, how does she know? She's saying things that she couldn't really know. And it would be interesting if she had actually admitted to having had therapy, because that would be a big no-no in the Scientology. Now, she didn't get into Scientology until she was 34. That's when Tom Cruise came to her in her dreams and introduced her to Scientology. She talked about therapists just put you into buckets. I feel like there's 3 buckets. You just go to school and you learn how to put people into one of 3 buckets. But in Scientology, it's not like that. Really, Katie? Scientology doesn't put people into buckets. How about PTS, out ethics? I mean, you're either PTS or you're out ethics or you're SP or you're criminal or you have withholds or you're a DB or you're 1-1. Scientology is nothing but putting people into buckets. But don't tell Katie that. She might have to break up with Tom Cruise. Oh, wait, how about that? Katie, Tom, there you go. Okay, you'll see where we're going with this in a little bit. Okay, next clip that we have here is how Tom Cruise got her into Scientology at 7 minutes and 11 seconds.
So I go to sleep one night and I had this crazy dream. In my dream, I'm standing there and all of a sudden Tom Cruise walks up and he's in a black shirt and jeans.
You don't
and
say.
There's like this glowing light behind him. And he walks up to me and he's like, hey, I think you need some help. Do you want me to help you? And he reached out his hand and grabbed my hand and we were holding hands. And I was like, in my dream, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm holding hands with Tom Cruise. All right. He's like, I'm going to help you. And I was like, okay. And then the next thing I remember, how dreams are, like they never really make sense. So the glowing light stops and Tom's holding my hand and he walks me kind of across like to this area that looked like a giant greenhouse. And there are all these people walking around and they were walking around like really fast. And one of them comes down a little flight of stairs and she says, hi, all right, I'm going to take Katie away now. And then in my dream, Tom looks at me and he goes, all right, if you need any help, let me know. I'll be here. And then he disappeared. And I woke up and I was like, what in the world? And I'm thinking, okay, well, did I like just watch like a Tom Cruise movie or something? And not that I remember.
But he left you. He said, I'll be here. And then he instantly disappeared.
He left me with all the Scientologists. Like I knew what they were. He's like, they're going to help you. I was like, all right. And I knew what it was because they said, we're Scientology. I was like, okay.
All righty then. Let's discuss this. Any Scientology staff member, tech staff member, tech executive, ethics officer, auditor, case supervisor, hearing that Katie is saying Tom Cruise came to her in her dreams and brought her to, she says, a big look like a greenhouse looking place. A greenhouse looking place is a very accurate description of what the garden pavilion at the Celebrity Center looks like. Okay, guys, it's not a thing in Scientology to be able to visit people in their dreams. Okay, that's not on the list of OT powers. You don't visit people in their dreams. That's not a thing Scientologists think people do. They do think you can telepathically communicate to one another, particularly if you're an OT, but telepathically communicating doesn't mean visiting someone in their dreams. Anyone who heard this story from Katie would like put her on a list of people who are mentally unstable. Even in Scientology, that is a wacky thing to say. And let me see. Now she says, here's the thing. Any org that she would have gotten online's at, I'm guessing she would have told them pretty quickly that she had been a Playmate. It was like in 2000 or 2000. Was it 2000? Yeah, something like 2000, in the year 2000. You might want to Google that, but I'm sure you all have already Googled it. Anyone that she told that she had been a Playmate, she probably would have been sent to the Celebrity Center. And yet I find it interesting that just at no point in this entire interview does she ever talk about ever having been at the Celebrity Center. She does say she's never met Tom Cruise. So I don't know. I just, especially for someone who basically can say Tom Cruise introduced her to Scientology because he came to me in my dreams. I just think there's something noteworthy about the fact that we don't hear about her first 2 or 3 years in Scientology. I mean, did they send her away to Arkansas? I mean, I'm sort of joking. I don't think they really would have sent her away to Arkansas. But I think it's noteworthy that we're not hearing about that early first 2 or 3 years part of her story. Okay, so let's see. Jumping ahead to 14 minutes, Katie wants you to know how Scientology has benefited her life in real world ways. So 1438 is what we're looking for here. Here we go.
I think of something completely different. And honestly, since I've become a Scientologist, so many aspects of my life, so many things in my life have just gotten easier. I'll give you one little example. I'm actually a better driver than I used to be because I think I'm just more alert. No, really, I'm a better driver. Not. Yes, I am. I'm a better driver. And when I'm doing a lot of auditing, which I haven't had any auditing in a while because I've been in Arkansas for the last few years, the lockdown and everything, I start looking and feeling younger when I'm doing a lot of auditing. And I just wake up in the morning and I feel great. Like there's no lag time and I don't need to drink coffee. And I have extreme high energy most of the time.
Okay, good. So let's see. Trying to get my little view here correct. Okay. So she's a better driver. And when she's getting auditing, she looks and feels younger. I guess that's worth joining a human trafficking cult. I mean, let's be honest. Some people will do pretty much anything to look younger. And if you have to give a few $100,000 to a cult to accomplish that, I mean, potatoes, right? Now, for someone who is saying that Scientology auditing makes her look and feel younger, she also says in this interview, she's only done the purification rundown. She's never even done this student hat course. I know that's not the auditing side of the bridge, but she's only done the purification rundown on the auditing side of the bridge. And on the training side of the bridge, she hasn't even done the student hat, which is the first major course every Scientologist does. I'm saying all this because for someone who's saying auditing makes her look and feel younger, she does not mention any single auditing she's ever had in Scientology other than doing the purification rundown, which isn't really auditing. It's just sitting in a sauna and taking some vitamins. There are various types of introductory life repair auditing that I assume she's done. But what's interesting is that she doesn't talk about it at all. And it's not because she's shy about talking about stuff. She talks about a lot of stuff in this interview she really shouldn't be talking about, like Xenu, like how ineffective Scientology is in their, communications media, their communication strategy with the world and the media. So, okay. And guys, that's pretty much the only thing Katie says in this whole interview on how Scientology's helped her. She's a better driver. And when she gets auditing, it helps her look and feel younger. Fantastic. Okay. Our next clip starts at 1804. And she actually criticizes Scientology for their lack of effective communications management, from the organization to the external world. Let's check this out.
So important that you communicate clearly.
Right.
Apart from you, they don't talk. They don't come out into the public. They won't speak. They won't tell anyone what's going on. And again, it's a bit shady, which it makes you think.
Well, that makes it look more shady because there's no communication going out about it. And that's why I feel like I'm comfortable being on camera. I've done many interviews throughout all the years that I've been in entertainment. And I think that I've kind of made it my goal to just be open about, what Scientology really is. And some of the questions or concerns or anything. I mean, I'm not a Scientology lawyer, so it's, I don't have to follow a certain script of any kind.
Are you going to get in trouble for? Am I a suppressive person?
I mean, I don't think that you are, but honestly, I think if you went into Scientology, you'd probably like it. And I know that goes against your entire, your entire show. But I truly think that if you went in, you would realize that it is not what you may have going on in your mind. That they brainwash you and they tell you what to do and they tell you who to date and what to eat and, all of that. And none of that is true. Like I said, they've never told me to do anything. Everything that I've ever done was of my choosing.
What would they ever tell you to do, Katie? You're an introductory level public who lives in frickin' Arkansas. And every Scientology's management structure, it's all of its management policies, its communications strategy or lack thereof is all dictated by Miscavige. So I know Katie's stepping on toes. I'm guessing honestly doesn't understand that she's stepping on. Criticizing Scientology's media strategy is criticizing David Miscavige personally. Saying that Scientology makes itself look shady by not having open communication with the media and the public is 100% true, but not something a Scientologist is allowed to say, much less in public. And this is why Katie is going to get in trouble when she eventually comes down to Tampa to do her student hat course, which she says later in the interview she's planning on doing. I kind of like how she also says that she has essentially nominated herself the public spokesperson for Scientology because she's got a lot of interview experience and she's dedicated to just being open and honest about what Scientology really is. The implication there is that is as opposed to what Scientology management does. And by management, I include the public relations office, Office of Special Affairs, the spokespeople. What she's trying to do is in contrast to what Scientology management does, which is just be very opaque and inaccessible and unfriendly and confrontational and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sort of teasing Katie a little bit because I'm teasing her because she doesn't know that she's not allowed to be saying these things. The truth is, what she's saying is actually quite correct. Scientology, as horrible as it is, would be better off having some nice, open, friendly person who's very competent at answering questions about Scientology, even the hard ones, even the ugly ones. It would be much better off than doing what they're doing now. And it's sort of admirable, as from a Scientology perspective, that Katie would like to see someone fill that role and would like it for her to be her. It's admirable. I know what she's doing. I know where she's coming from, but I'm still teasing her because she has no idea that she's going to get in a lot of trouble for even saying these things, much less on a podcast of a raving suppressive person like Andrew Gold. Andrew is an honorary SP. By the way, I don't think I've ever sent him an SP bracelet, but probably because he's all the way out there in the UK. Okay, so let's see. The next clip here. Oh, Andrew asks her, if Scientology is so wonderful, why is it not free? That's at 20 minutes and 38 seconds. Here we go.
Their homes, bankrupted families, and all those kinds of things. If this is a religion to help people, why is it not free?
Because, well, okay, anything of any value, I feel like we have to keep the organization going. So let's say I make a donation of $500. That $500 goes to the volunteer ministers. And they're the ones that anytime there's any kind of disaster that happens in the world, doesn't matter where it is, Scientology goes out. Now, they're not the first responders. They're not the firefighters and police, but they're right behind them. So like when 9/11 happened, all of the people that you see walking around in videos with the yellow shirts, those are the Scientologists. Those are the volunteer ministers. So the reason that Scientology costs money is because we have different things that we do. We have anti-drug programs. We have Narconon facilities to actually get people off very severe drugs.
I have to jump in right there just to say that Narconon, the Narconon program, Scientology's Narconon, by the way, it's not it's Narconon. It's not Narco-Non. That's a different organization. You're okay. No, it's not It's not Narcotics Anonymous. It's Narco-Non. Anyway, the Narconon program costs $30,000. The fact that people go through Scientology's this is not a subsidized program. This is not what Scientologists donations buy. The Narconon program is insanely expensive. Even though it's just standard to subpar effectiveness as far as, what is it? Recidivism is when you go back to jail, but what's when you get back on drugs? Relapse? Yeah. Anyway, if she actually thinks that one of the reasons Scientology is so expensive is because they have to fund the Narconon program, well, it shows you she really is just an introductory level public. Okay, but there's more to watch on this clip, so let's keep going.
It's like heroin and cocaine and, LSD and all these different things. So the money has to come from somewhere to facilitate what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a world where people aren't pumped up on pharmaceuticals and street drugs and just all these really dark and horrible things. So we have to make money somehow. So if you go do a course, that money goes in to the whole organization. We also need that money because we need to buy more buildings. We need to have more Scientology orgs. Have you ever been inside an org? I doubt you have, but they're I love it because what they do is they try to restore old buildings. Like we have an org in Tampa, Florida, and we actually saved.
Take me inside one?
Take you inside? Because of your show, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they would like
me, would they?
I'd
like to film. I'd love to film inside it. I get what you're saying, but
they're beautiful.
Okay, good. Let's talk. Okay. There's so much to address there, and I'm not going to address all of it. One of the things she says is we have to buy so many buildings. Katie is probably someone who actually thinks that whenever Scientology opens a new building, that they're actually opening a new organization. I'm guessing she actually believes that. When the reality is, every new building that you hear Scientology opens, they'll always call it a new church. It's just a new building for the existing Scientology organization. And it occurred to me while watching this clip that one piece of advice that I am going to give to any of you out there who are not Scientologists, but you have a friend, who's involved. Let's do a little test. And if any of you actually do this, please email me and let me know what the result was. growingupinScientology@gmail.com. I'd like to test whether your friends actually think Scientology is expanding or not. Because it's almost like in order to be a Scientologist, you'd almost have to believe Scientology is expanding. Because Scientology management is constantly telling you that it is expanding. So if you actually thought that they were lying to you, almost by definition, you probably wouldn't be a Scientologist anymore. So anyway, here's what you should ask your friends, guys. Just no matter what major city you're in, unless it's Los Angeles, no matter what major city you're in, if there's any Church of Scientology at all, there's only one. And there's only been one for the last 2 or 3 generations. Okay. There's, other than Los Angeles, and other than some cities that still have something called a celebrity center, those don't count really. There's only one organization in any city. Guys, half the states in the United States don't even have one Scientology organization. Okay. So ask them this. If you're in Chicago, for example, hey, how many Scientology organizations are there in Chicago? And they'll go, oh, just one. And you go, just one? How long has it been there? Oh, and they'll give you some answer. And just ask them something like, if I thought Scientology was the fastest growing religion in the world. That's the tagline that Scientology management tells everybody. We are the fastest growing religion in the world. I thought Scientology was the fastest growing religion in the world. Oh yeah, we are. Oh my God, there's millions of us. Like, you know, we're like clearing cities. We're clearing states. Well, wait a second. If Scientology is the fastest growing religion in the world, how can only be one Scientology organization in all of Chicago? No new organizations in 40 years, 50 years? How can that be? Anyway, it might seem like a small point, but guys, when it comes to Scientology and cognitive dissonance and these high control groups, a lot of things just come down to really small points, right? If a Scientologist can sort of crack through this barrier and kind of realize, oh, I'm being lied to about things. It might sound like a small point. That small point, that small first crack in the dam leads to bigger cracks later on. Guys, the first crack in the dam for me on believing Scientology, not believing Scientology, is when the Tampa Bay Times wrote a series of articles in 2009 interviewing a bunch of former Scientology executives who had left Scientology, and I had no idea they'd left Scientology. One of these executives was Mike Rinder. And when I heard them talking about the abuse at the international base, for me, I was like, that was the first small thing. I was like, oh, I thought everything was perfect at the international base. I thought the reason our experience down here was so bad is because we were so far from the international base. It turns out things were even worse the closer to Miscavige that you got. Anyway, it was a small thing that for me was the first crack in the dam and led to many more cracks until that dam eventually came down. So I don't know. I know that's kind of a segue from the stuff she talked about in this segment, but that's just what I wanted to say. Okay, so the next thing here, oh boy, Katie now commits a mortal sin. She talks about Xenu, and she drags Tom Cruise and his dyslexia into the conversation. So let's jump forward to 26 minutes and 5 seconds. And here we go.
So it just depends on like what lecture you're doing.
So are you aware of some of the, the folklore around Scientology? I'm talking about the sci-fi stuff, the Xenu stuff, the intergalactic stuff like that.
I'm aware of it. And I just feel like at that point, when I'm there, I'll see how I feel about it, because I'm not there yet. So I'm not really going to worry about something that's not affecting me right now. But as of now, everything that I've done, and again, I am reading and listening to the lectures that all of Scientology was based on. So I'm getting the full foundation of how the auditing came about and why the auditing is the way that it is.
Okay, good. I'm just going to jump in here, even though there's more to this clip. This is actually one of the most refreshing and honest answers I could have expected from a Scientologist. It's just that she's going to get in trouble for saying it. Do you know what I mean? It's just that she even says, when I get there, maybe we'll have another conversation and I'll tell you how I feel about it. No, Katie, you're not allowed to talk about what's on the OT levels. It's like the absolute biggest, it'll get you instantly declared a suppressive person and expelled from Scientology, but it's refreshing. It's sort of adorably naive. Shoot, there was something else I was actually going to say about this, and I totally lost my train of thought. So hold on.
Why others that all of Scientology was based
on? Oh, right. Okay, so she talked about right now I'm reading all the books and lectures that Scientology is based on. For you Scientologists out there, she's talking about the basic books and lectures. She's talking about what Scientology calls the basics. And she's about to say that, oh, this takes years and years. It's not supposed to take years to study the basics. It's supposed to take like 6 to 8 months or something like that. And yet she's 9 years into Scientology and she's still studying the basics. And, but this is why she genuinely may not know. She's not allowed to talk about Xenu. She's not allowed to say, Andrew, I'll let you know how I feel about Xenu once I get to OT3 and I study it for myself. But it is kind of adorable. Let's be honest. All right, let's keep going.
And listening to the lectures that all of Scientology was based on. So I'm getting the full foundation of how the auditing came about and why the auditing is the way that it is, and why we audit past lives.
But the picture can't be complete without Lord Xenu and the thetans body thetans that went into volcanoes and the also, if you haven't done the OT,
it's gonna feel great. Like, how do I know that?
You're supposed to I know, I mean this, but I only say this because I know it won't happen. But by me saying that, you're supposed to get pneumonia now.
You know, I already have prepared myself. I already know about it. I've already educated myself in so many different elements of Scientology. I know about the good. I know about the bad. I feel like I know about a lot of it, and I'm not going to worry about how I feel about, you know, if we sit here and say like Thetans, and people are going to be like, what are you talking about? So basically in Scientology, there's this thing where at some point I will have to audit past lives, and Thetans are things that are attached to you from your past lives. And I feel like when I get there, hey, maybe we'll do another interview and I'll tell you, you know, how I feel about it. But I don't want to make an assumption now that I'm going to think it's weird, or I'm not going to like it, or who knows, maybe I love it. Because like I said, Scientology doesn't work for everybody. But if it does work for you, the benefits of it are amazing. Like, let me just say this. Tom Cruise would not be operating on the level that he's operating if he was not a Scientologist. I'm going to tell you exactly what would have happened to him. And again, I hope he doesn't get mad. He probably would have done a couple movies, a couple of those early films, Risky Business, you know, some of the early stuff, Taps, all that. And because he was suffering from dyslexia, there's no way that he was going to continue with his career after those first, like, let's say 3-4 movies. Okay.
I'm not having that Scientology cured his dyslexia.
Yes,
That's
it did.
Just not a thing.
Yes, it did, because yes, it absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. He did. I think he did study tech, and then he did some auditing with it.
Oh my God, this is just glorious. I honestly don't even know what I want to say about this clip, other than that she's clearly angling to be the next Mrs. Tom Cruise. I think Tom would have to eat a whole lot of humble pie to get with someone else named Katie. Don't you think? Do you think he'd start calling? Do you think if he started going out with Katie Lohmann, he'd insist on calling her Kate as well? Oh, Lord Almighty. And I love, it does seem to be kind of typical of something a Scientologist would do, to be honest. The fact that she's telling a story that's not about her, but telling it with the utmost confidence, as if she knows for 100% certain that what she's saying is a 100% fact, even though how could she possibly know anything other than what she's read about it? She's never met Tom Cruise. She's never spoken to Tom Cruise. Yes, Tom Cruise has said in interviews that Scientology cured his dyslexia, but there's other things that Tom has said in those interviews about all of that that really calls into question that entire story. He makes it. Tom has said that the schools, the counselors in the schools, wanted to put him on medication for his dyslexia. No one is put on medication for dyslexia. Now, it might be that Tom's left some things out of the story, that maybe they diagnosed him with dyslexia, but they wanted to medicate him for some other things. And that's fine. The point is, though, the way Tom tells the story doesn't make sense, but she's taking it as if it's absolute gospel. Okay, so that's Xenu, Tom Cruise, and dyslexia. Okay, good. This next clip is her going full circle now. From in the first part of the interview, she has, and I haven't done these clips because it wasn't important. In the first part of the interview, she spends some time pushing back on the idea that Scientology is a cult. And now she comes full circle and she's talking about, look, even if Scientology was a cult, it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't care. Uh-oh, not what you're supposed to be saying as the new spokesperson of Scientology, Katie. Let's take a look at this, minute 31:57. Here we go.
It's not what I thought it would be. It was 1,000 times better, because we have.
Well, I know, but the statistics suggest the opposite, because so many people are leaving Scientology. It's getting so much smaller.
Well, that's because it doesn't work for everybody.
Uh-oh.
I hate to say that, but it just doesn't. But the only way to find out if it works is to try it. You know, because when it does work, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. You just feel amazing.
I suppose a sign that you're not in a cult and that you're able to think critically would be the ability to hold convictions and beliefs, which you do, whilst also being open to changing them when new evidence arises. So is there anything, like, what do you imagine it would take for you to then go, oh, you know what, maybe this is a cult and I shouldn't have been involved in it?
Let's just say hypothetically, that there are some elements of it that may be under the definition of cult. I wouldn't care because of all the benefits that I've had and how I feel.
Okay.
I wouldn't care. You know, like I
Okay.
feel like it wouldn't bother me. And you've got to remember, a long time ago, the word cult was not considered a bad word.
Oh boy.
It wasn't. Like, this is a very
Okay.
long time ago, but it wasn't.
We've gone in these 30 minutes from you saying definitely not a cult to maybe it's a cult, but I'm not too bothered. But cult's not a bad word.
Well, because
yeah, we're gonna stop that there. Katie's already fallen down on the job in just her first few minutes of being Scientology's new spokesperson. Even if it was a cult, I wouldn't care. Oh gosh. I mean, look, I don't want to pick on every single thing that she says, and I'm sure you are all having the same thoughts that I'm having anyway. We're at a very shallow level of contemplation. We're not thinking deeply about these issues. It does make you wonder, why, Katie, did you feel the need to speak on behalf of all of Scientology if you're not prepared to tackle issues without quickly falling back on, if it is a cult, I wouldn't care because it makes me feel so good. Okay, but what are the things about Scientology that do make it a cult? Anyway, that's fine. I can't pick on her too much. She's an amateur. She's a novice at the job. Who knows? Maybe Scientology will hire her to be their official spokesperson anyway. Okay, let's jump forward to at 44 minutes and 43 seconds. Yours truly, AA Ron, asks Katie a question and she answers it. Let's go. 44, 43. Close enough.
You would love it.
Well, let me ask you. I got a question from my friend Erin Smith-Levin.
Yes.
I am going to do other questions at the end if you want
yes.
to stay for Q&A.
Yeah, of course.
But, so he's asking, if you've been in Scientology for 9 years, why have you still only done intro courses and the purification? The basics, books, and lectures are all intro courses.
See, they're not intro courses. Doing the basics is a huge commitment that takes years and years and years. It's not just a sitting down and doing a course for a month and then you're done with it. It's a continual thing. I mean, in the basics, there are countless amounts of lectures and countless amounts of books. So it's really not just a small introductory thing. It is what Scientology is based on. The basics are Scientology.
Okay, good. Now, notice she didn't actually answer my question. I said, why have you only done introductory courses? And she responded by saying they take a really long time. They're not just introductory. I didn't say that they were small or short. I said they're introductory. So I do get a chance to ask my question again. And that occurs at 50 minutes and 16 seconds. Here we go.
Cool enough to be part of that whole group. I've got Erin. He's okay. Not happy with your response. I didn't say the basics are small. I said they are intro courses. You haven't done any major Scientology courses in 9 years. Then there's
no, I definitely want to do the PTSSP. I'm going to actually do that in Tampa, Florida. That is my next thing, is PTSSP and student hat. No, let him know that is my next thing.
When you go there, do you want to meet up with him? I don't know if he wants that yet, but that could be cool.
Who is it? Who is this person? I have no idea who that is.
Okay, yeah. So when we were doing Mondays, when the last time me and Mike and Mark all did a chat together, we sort of kind of concluded that she's probably lying about not knowing who I am. But I have to be honest, I actually believe her. I was thinking some of the speculation on this was how in the world would a Scientologist find Andrew Gold's Scientology videos but not find anything from like me, Mike, or Mark? And as of last night, I couldn't figure out a good answer to that question. So I concluded perhaps she was lying about not knowing who I am. I now believe I have the answer. Katie Lohmann is infatuated with Tom Cruise. And most of the Scientology content, or the majority of the content that Andrew does on Scientology is Tom Cruise material or Tom Cruise adjacent. That is how Katie Lohmann has discovered Andrew Gold and his channel and his Scientology videos, and none of us other big, bad, dirty, cracker-licking SPs. That's the answer. I truly believe she has no idea who I am, but I kind of think that after this video, she's going to find out. Okay, let me see. We're almost done with this, guys. By the way, okay, here's the next section where Katie, again, commits a mistake. It's an honest mistake. I can tell she doesn't realize that what she's saying is problematic. She's trying to explain how auditing makes her feel better, but in the process, she says some very problematic stuff. Let me let her speak for herself here. 52 minutes and 23 seconds. Close enough. Here we go.
Doing all of them. And I know that all the auditing that I have done, I come out feeling great. I mean, of course, I'm a little upset when I leave, but you know, it's a little upsetting when you leave because you could be crying or sweating or something like that, or feel a little nauseous while you're in the auditing session. But then once I go home, take a nice warm bath, fall asleep, when I wake up the next day, I feel great. And I'm so glad that I did it.
Oh, Jesus, dear God. Anyone who's had anything to do with delivering Scientology auditing would listen to what she just said and have a heart attack. I have seen other entry-level Scientologists accidentally say things like this as well that got people into trouble. So what's wrong with what she said is she goes, the auditing always makes me feel great. So I feel bad when I'm leaving, of course. You know, it makes me nauseous and sick, and it was one of the words that she used. But then I go home and I take a nice bath and I sleep. And when I wake up the next morning, I feel great. No, that's horrible. You're not supposed to feel bad when you leave an auditing session. It's not supposed to feel like you just got beat up. But boy, it's almost like she's comparing it to a really hard workout where like no pain, no gain. You can barely walk out of the gym or whatever. And, you know, but the next morning, you feel, well, you still feel like crap the next day, let's be honest. But anyway, so the other example I heard, this was actually at the Celebrity Center, believe it or not. Some new entry-level Scientologist got up there at graduation and gave a success story. He had just finished a co-auditing course. It was called the TRs and Objectives co-audit course. And he said, I had so many wins. I was so blown out that I actually had to blow the course. And the RTC reps were watching this graduation and were listening to this guy's success story. By the way, in Scientology, it's not supposed to be a thing that auditing is so good and so great that you feel like you need to leave it and take a break for a couple of weeks. Because the guy's up there giving a success story. Oh yeah, it was going so wonderfully and so marvelously. I had to take 2 weeks off. My twin had no idea where I was. He couldn't reach me. And then finally, when I was ready, I came back in. The RTC reps immediately ordered that the guy's folders get pulled and reviewed and that his auditing get corrected. It sounds like Katie, that every single, all the auditing she's ever had is stuff that at the end, she still felt residually bad and had to soak it all off in a warm bath and a nap. Now, here's the thing. I'm criticizing the form of what she's saying, but she clearly seems convinced that it's wonderful. So I'm not sitting here saying that Katie's never really been helped by auditing, but I can tell you that any one of Miss Scavich's or Tom Cruise's people listening to this would be horrified. Okay, so this is a great one. Apostate Alex also had a chance to ask Katie a question. See, that's the thing. Scientologists get on the internet and all of a sudden they're having conversations with full-blown declared SPs. So let's jump forward to 1 minute. 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 22 seconds. Guys, this one's really going to blow you away, her answer to this question. And this is going to expose the entire thing here. I'll let her once again speak for herself.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Apostate Alex, what do you say to people like me who used to be staff at London Org and was locked in a room, not allowed to leave by a flag-trained ethics officer?
I would say, what did you do that was out ethics?
Oh my God.
But
they'll know what I mean by that. They'll know what I mean.
No,
they'll know what I mean by that. They'll know. What did you do that was out ethics? That's
this is where we disagree.
Okay. There's more to this clip. Hold on, I got to get my little screen here. There is more to this clip that I want you guys to see. But do you see how the mental conditioning in Scientology, even at the lowest levels, that this is the type of mental conditioning that is instilled in Scientologists at even the lowest levels? Something horrible happened to you. What did you do to deserve it? and she's almost giddy. She thinks it's hilarious. What did you do that was out ethics? She goes, they'll know what that means. It is the ultimate victim blaming. Now, Alex says, I was locked in a room. He didn't say they spoke to me for a long time in a room. He says, I was locked in a room. Well, what did you do? Okay, there's more to this. Let's keep going.
This is it, because it feels like a lot you like deflect.
Because I don't know what they did. No, because I don't know what they did.
It doesn't matter.
To be in an out ethics situation. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. You should never be locked in a room unless you're a part of a cult.
All I can say is, what did you do that provided the out ethics environment that you were locked in a room? What did you do?
Well, what would be good enough for you? What kind of thing?
I mean, it's their journey, it's their story. It could be anything that they could have done that would be considered out ethics. And it's not that they lock you in the room, it's just that they want to resolve the issue.
How do you know, Katie? It's again, now you're commenting on someone else's experience without having any information to work with.
Which is not so much about locking you in there. It's people don't want to resolve issues. Like when there's an out ethics situation where you've done something, let's say hypothetically you like stole something from the store, in Scientology, and you're a SEERG member, and that's considered like out ethics because you're stealing. So a lot of people don't want to face it. They don't want to face what they've done, and a lot of people also leave Scientology because they just, for whatever reason, don't want to give up their drug problem. They don't want to. And you can't study Scientology if you're currently on any kind of pills or anything. You can't study it. So
pills. I think she keeps projecting. Okay, I won't say anything more on that. Oh shoot, wait, where's the thing? I want to get my view correct. Okay, so I find it interesting that, well, first of all, I've never in the history of Scientology heard someone say that the reason people leave Scientology is they don't want to give up a drug habit. What they usually say is something more along the lines of what she said about 20 seconds prior to that, which is people leave Scientology because they don't want to come clean about all of their crimes. And they're afraid Scientology is going to discover their crimes for which they could be imprisoned, and they don't want to come clean and become better people, and so they leave Scientology. That's usually what they say about people. And I feel like that's what she wanted to say. And I think, I don't know, she got sidetracked by the drugs and the pills, probably because I'm assuming that's what she got resolved when she joined Scientology was some pills. Okay, so is that not, I was truly blown away. When I was watching this live, I was like, you're really not going to go very far in your career as Scientology spokesperson if your response to everything is, well, what did you do to pull it in? Oh, Lord Almighty. Okay, guys, the best is yet to come. If you guys have ever wondered whether Scientologists believe that dinosaurs walked the earth, or whether Scientologists believe in the scientifically determined age of the planet, Katie's about to answer this question for you guys. Let's see. We're going to jump forward to, and this is the last clip that we're going to look at here. Let's go to 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 27 seconds for some glorious, glorious stuff. Here we go.
Yeah, no.
Well, Anon says, Katie, the volcanoes on OT3 have been proven to scientifically not exist 75 million years ago. You won't look into it simply. Well, this is the thing. Is it better to just ignore reality?
Well, there's stuff. But there are scientists that are now saying Earth itself may not even be 75 million years old. So again, we don't.
Well, yeah, they never said Earth was 75 million years old, Katie. You're not paying attention. Let's go back. I want to rewind that a sec.
Exactly how the answer on how old Earth is are now saying Earth but there are scientists that are now saying Earth itself may not even be 75 million years old.
Oh,
so again,
it may not even be 75 million years old. Okay.
We don't exactly have the answer on how old Earth is, what was here, what wasn't here. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have the answer.
Well, of course not.
They're actually arguing that the dinosaurs may not be 65 million years old. They may actually be, like bring it in a little closer to us. It may not be so far out. It may not be 65 million years. Everything may just actually be more condensed. But again, like, I don't know, that's a whole other topic is, Earth evolution and how old it is and what was here. How do we know what was here and what wasn't here? Were there funky birds? Were there dinosaurs? Were there sharks? Like, honestly, I don't have the answer. So, and I guess I'm just not really concerned about it, like, were the volcanoes there? I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh my God. Wow. To be fair, I've actually never heard a Scientologist say anything as ridiculous as what she just said. Scientologists are not flat earthers. I've never actually heard a Scientologist question when the dinosaurs really existed. Now, the closest thing I ever encountered in Scientology to this was Hubbard saying something along the lines of doing the radio. Oh, gee, I can't. I'm going to I go blank on the right words to use. However, they do the aging of the rocks. They measure the rate of the half-life of the deterioration of the radioactive isotopes and the whatevers. Radiocarbon dating. I think it's called radiocarbon dating. I remember Hubbard saying in a lecture that scientists are going to be shocked to discover that basically Thetans have kind of played games by sort of booby trapping the actual half-life of these various isotopes to kind of trick scientists so that scientists only think that radiocarbon dating gives them the accurate age of things, but they really have no idea what they're talking about because Thetans have screwed around with all of it. Now you might go, well, Aaron, that sounds an awful lot like what she's saying. I know it does, but LRH never made that second step. He never said, and because of this, they don't know the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Because in fact, LRH tends to tell stories the opposite way. Everything is much, much, much older than scientists think that it is. And yet she was going the opposite direction. That's why I've said I've never heard a Scientologist say something quite as stupid as that. They might say something similarly stupid, but not, they're usually going the other direction, is what I'm saying. Oh my God, this was so much fun. Now, this was a great interview to the extent that Andrew handled it beautifully, but you can only work with what you've got in front of you. And unfortunately, what he had in front of him wasn't the best. But what do I even really mean by that? Because the truth is, if he had a bona fide Scientology spokesperson in front of them, they wouldn't have even been honest. Like, at least she's being honest. She might be uninformed, but she's being honest. She might be, pretty shallow in how deeply she thinks about a lot of these things, but she's being honest. I don't know. How could the interview have been better? I mean, I don't think she outright lied about anything, to her credit. And I do think Andrew should continue to try to get actual Scientologists, more current Scientologists on and see how it goes. By the way, when I did the interview with Lex Fridman, when I did the Lex Fridman podcast, there's one part of the interview where he asked me if I thought he could ever get an interview with David Miscavige. I said, you will get a dozen interviews with Vladimir Putin before you ever get one interview from David Miscavige. And he said, I disagree with you. And again, I thought it was kind of adorable because optimism will get you very far in life. But I said, Lex, I hope that I'm wrong. I would love to see you sit here and interview David Miscavige. But I'll tell you what, I said, if you reach out to the Church of Scientology International, their Office of Special Affairs, their PR department, and you ask to interview David Miscavige, they're going to think you're just kind of being a dick. Don't aim that high. Ask for anyone that they consider to be an official spokesperson, anyone who works in the LRH public relations office, absolutely anybody. And I said, Lex, I guarantee you they won't send you anyone. And you have to consider what that means. What does it mean that I, a former Scientologist, a declared suppressive person, am sitting here giving you a better, more honest description of Scientology than any official spokesperson would ever give. I said, Lex, they should be banging down your door for the opportunity to come on your podcast and have a conversation about Scientology, and yet they won't. And that's how you know they're a cult. So anyway, Katie Lohmann, more power to you. Well done on the effort. Thank you for just being honest. I thought it was kind of refreshing. And hey, Katie, when you do come to Tampa for your student hat course, look me up, send me a message. I'll even bring you on my channel. You can talk about how wonderful the student hat is. Okay, let's see. There might be a whole lot of comments, and I'm not in a rush, guys. So I'm actually going to answer all the super chats. Okay. So starting from the top, let's just do this. Catherine S. I'm so excited you're doing a live on this. Thank you very much. I'm also glad to be doing it later in the day because I sort of feel like I can take my time and not be in a rush. When I'm doing things in the middle of the day, I always feel like I kind of have to rush for some reason. All right, let's see. Oh, Lathanda Gronklinge. Lathanda Gronklinge. She repeatedly said Scientology doesn't work for everybody, but how will that clear the planet thing work for them? Excellent point, Lathanda. I will say that most Scientologists would probably tell you that to clear the planet, you only have to get like more than half of the people up Scientology's bridge. And they will say that's enough to tip the theta and theta ratio on planet Earth, that the whole Earth just clears or something like this. It's not supposed to be very technical or scientific. There's no engineering, baked into all this. Okay, Maxwell Edison's mom. I sent Katie a message on Instagram telling her that Tom is not going to be impressed with her reaching out to an SP. She blocked you. She blocked. I am shocked. I did not think that Katie would be the type of person to block somebody on Instagram. I mean, come on. She just went on the YouTube channel of a guy who craps on Scientology all the time on YouTube, and she's triggered by a little Instagram message. I am shocked. Katie, shame on you. Okay. Brenda Farrow. This is the first time I've been able to see you live. Do you have a schedule? Brenda, one of the unique things about this channel, no schedule. No schedule at all. I mean, I don't schedule anything in advance. It's just, my life just isn't as predictable that I don't even know when I'm waking up in the morning. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. No schedule. And poor Goldie, the best moderator in the world. She doesn't even get any advance notice when I'm going live. I don't know how Goldie manages to be here for every single of my lives. I don't give her any advance notice at all. And I usually schedule my live streams about 5 minutes before I actually go live. So thank you, Brenda, and welcome to the first live stream. 86 GOP, thanks for the great analysis. I watched the cringeworthy interview and could not believe how obtuse she was throughout. There were times when I even thought she might be an SP plant. Well, there you go. Thank you, 86 GOP. Lisa Floyd, I finally caught a live. What's your beard health maintenance routine? Aaron. I do have like a beard balm. I mean, just everyone knows what a beard balm is. And other than that, I have no beard. I'm at a maintenance health program. I've been getting some sun lately. Can you tell the beard's lightening up a little bit? So yes, this is an actual live stream, not a live premiere. All right, scrolling down, looking for the next one. By the way, guys, my Xenu outfit arrived for my Mike Rinder bobblehead, and it is incredible. Bobble Mike. This is a two-part costume. This is crocheted by a viewer who sent these to me and Mark. Look at this. It's a Xenu costume. Anyway, you can get your Mike Rinder bobbleheads at the spshop.com. I don't know why I thought that was a good thing to mention right now, but I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. Okay, here's one. Anne Burrow. In the thumbnail, I saw her neck and thought, wow, she has a lot of wrinkles. Then I realized it was her turtleneck. Well, there you go. There you go. And also, by the way, I do wonder what Scientology thinks about her Playmate status and associated activities, because I do have a sneaking suspicion that photos in a magazine was not the full extent of her entertainment career, if you catch my drift. Okay, Catherine, I think she said she got priced out of California. Did she say that? Wow. Oh, that's right. I remember hearing this. Carrie Johnson, she lost her house in the housing crash and had to move. Well, guys, I do have a little bit of experience in the real estate industry, and at the risk of saying something very ignorant and uninformed, if she could afford her mortgage before the housing crash, what made her not be able to afford her mortgage after the housing crash? I mean, the housing crash refers to prices, but if you could afford your mortgage before the crash, you could afford your mortgage after the crash. So what I take away from that is she just lost her house. I mean, unless the taxes just went up so much that she couldn't afford her taxes. Who knows? Who really knows? But okay, fine. I'm sorry. The housing crisis doesn't explain why she moved out of California, I guess is all I'm saying there. I do understand that's what she said, though. So that's fine. Steve Britton, do you actually get a hat for completing the hat? Steve, you think that you would. You think, like, I finished the student hat course and at least I got this hat. But no, you don't even get a hat. In fact, you'd think that hats were more of a thing in Scientology, considering how popular of a word that it is. But no hats, no special student hats. Okay, 86 GOP as a proud Californian. I'm glad she left for Arkansas. Perhaps she will move further east, possibly in Aaron's neighborhood. Actually, she does say in the video that she's considering moving to Florida. That's one of the reasons she's coming to the Tampa org to do the student hat course, even though Tampa isn't even the closest church of Scientology to her. I think Dallas org is the closest one to her. Okay, Plaque and Tangles. Plaque and Tangles, that's an incredible name. All fun and games until Minkoff diagnoses you with Lyme disease. So true, so true. Okay, Lisa Whiffen, how much trouble will she be in for doing this interview? What will happen to her? By the way, absolutely love your channel. Watch it every day from Australia. Love me, my Australians. Did you know my youngest daughter, the cute little one that plays the guitar at the end of my videos, her name is Brisbane, and she is named after Brisbane, Australia. And she's not so little anymore. She's like 4 years old in that video. She's 12 years old now. Okay, so she's gonna get in some trouble. There's only so much trouble you can get in when you're an introductory level Scientologist. Like, what are they going to do to you? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the worst thing they're going to do is kick you out, and they're not going to kick her out for this. She'll have to do lower conditions. She'll have to do a study order. She'll, it's just the typical stuff. What she did here is considered actionable, but it's not like egregious. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's see. Kate Olson. Maybe she wasn't let on a major service after the Pure since she's very outpointy and doesn't even try to hide it. Probably told her to study her basics and go from there. Kate, thank you for the comment. She did say in the interview that when she said she was moving away to Arkansas is when they put her on the basics, which again still raises more questions. Is like, then what the hell were you doing in Scientology for your first 3 years or 2 years? How have you never done a major Scientology course? It just doesn't make sense. So many outpoints, as you say. Thank you, Kate. Kitty Mom. No personal connection with Scientology, but I studied psychology and it's helped me personally. Their anti-psychology rhetoric is how Scientology came to my attention. Happy to support the fight to bring them down. Yeah, it's interesting. Scientology has an entire museum on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood called Psychiatry, the Industry of Death. They have more museums dedicated to psychiatry than they have dedicated to Scientology. They don't have any museums dedicated to Scientology. Scientology doesn't have any museums dedicated to Scientology, but they do have one dedicated to psychiatry and how they are the root of all evil. Thank you, Kitty Mom. Me, myself, and I, glad you were able to get some questions into her, Aaron. Yeah, I was really glad too. I knew if I put some in there, Andrew would be good enough to put them up. So that was pretty awesome. I just absolutely loved the fact she's like, who? I don't know who that is. And Andrew even, I didn't put this in our highlight reel, but he was like, are you doing that thing where you're trying to throw shade at somebody by pretending that you don't know who they are? And she's like, no, I've got no idea. If she was lying, then she did a really good job because I believed her. Okay, Melissa, does Andrew actually know her in real life? I don't care for the way she speaks to him. By the way, Loved your interview with Lex. So no, he does not know her in real life. She reached out to him. Andrew actually let me know when he got these messages. He said, hey, I'm going to be interviewing this person. And I said, are you sure she's like real? I'm like, get her to tell you something that can be verified. Like, tell her who got her into Scientology, when and where, and what training and auditing that she's done. And as Andrew, this was behind the scenes before they recorded the interview, as Andrew tried to get her to answer these questions, she was doing a really bad job answering the questions. But eventually she even sent him a picture of all of her Scientology certificates. And I looked through all their certificates and I said, Andrew, these are all introductory courses. Like, this doesn't really add up. But she sent him enough information that it was crystal clear that she was, at least in fact, legitimately a lower level introductory level Scientologist. And I said, hey, this will be, at the very least, this will be a very entertaining interview. Okay, Jason Windsor. How exactly will an ethics officer reprimand her? Thank you for the comment or the question, Jason. So the vast majority of what it means to get in trouble in Scientology has to do with what Scientology calls the lower ethics conditions. I've never done a video on this subject because it's so boring. I mean, as a Scientologist, most of your life is involved in doing some sort of lower ethics conditions. So eventually I'll do a video on it. I don't want to give a whole explanation right now. But if you look up Scientology, just if you Google Scientology lower ethics conditions, if you Google Scientology danger condition formula, Scientology liability condition formula, and you just read those things, doing the steps of those formulas is how Katie would be reprimanded. Thank you for that one. Okay, 86 GOP. In part 2, Andrew should ask Katie what the Easter Bunny is bringing her this year. I would love to hear the answer. Well, that's got to be a Playmate joke. And yeah, that would be good. There's a little video that I forgot to show you guys. I tell you what, right when I'm done with the Q&A, I'll show you a little video of Katie talking about Tom Cruise in an interview on some red carpet. It's pretty funny. Okay, here we go. Care for JC YouTube. Do you think they would not expel her because so many people have seen this? What she's done here is not an expellable offense. And as long as she's got money to spend and she loves Scientology and she loves Tom Cruise, they'll keep her. Thank you for the question. RV at the beach, thank you for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Okay, looking for the next one. I do think we're actually getting close to the end. Shannon Squared, thank you for the super sticker very much. Matrix Tech Solutions is back in the house again. Thank you for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Okay, another one from Catherine here. If she is even allowed to do an ethics cycle, I think she'll be Clay demoing all points of keeping Scientology working, and there might be a toothbrush in her future. Yeah. She's probably a little too lower level to be given the toothbrush treatment. For those of you who may not know, requiring people to clean toilets and dumpsters with toothbrushes is a not uncommon punishment in the C organization, at least. A public like Katie would really never be put on that. Although Nazanin Boniadi, the famous Iranian actress who was a Scientologist and was the first woman selected to be Tom Cruise's girlfriend before Katie Holmes. She, however, was assigned to scrubbing bathrooms with a toothbrush when she upset Tom Cruise and David Miscavige. So there you go. Okay, Shannon Squared. This interview reminded me of your interview with the Freemason gals. She just doesn't know enough to speak about Scientology. She's just a casual Scientologist. I think that's a fair point. I think that is a good point. Thank you for that. Okay, Bo Beats, you didn't reply to my 30 seconds with hypnotized DM. Oh, I actually remember what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't have a good answer to the question, but Mark answered, right? Or did Mike answer? I can't remember if one of us answered or two of us answered. If I had 30 seconds with a hypnotized DM, what would I say? I'm totally blank. I just don't have an answer. I mean, I'm like, you know what I mean? I just literally don't have an answer. I feel like I'd have an answer. Like if you ran into him in the grocery store, what would you say to him? I'd be like, God damn, you're shorter than I thought, is what I would say to him if I ran into him in the grocery store. Okay, Melissa, Aaron, let us know when she flees Scientology and heads over to the Aftermath Foundation. I have a feeling it'll be pretty quick. Well, I'll tell you what, though. Here's what's cool. If she does leave Scientology, I actually think she'll probably do another interview with Andrew Gold. And that would be actually a really cool thing. I doubt she'd come to the Aftermath Foundation because I doubt she would actually need help. But I bet she would do an interview with Andrew. Me, myself, and I. So how is she going to feel when she goes to Tampa and is locked in a room and cannot leave? Wow, that is a good one. That is very poignant. Scott Davidson, if Katie goes up the auditing bridge, I will hold the cans. I see what you did there, Scott. Thank you for that. Melissa, do only Sea Org and staff members get helped by the Aftermath? I can see a situation where a public Scientologist has lost all their money and their minds and could need help too. Can they go to the Aftermath? Wow, you nailed that on the head right there. So, I mean, the answer is yes. Not only yes, we have helped public members leave Scientology for the very reasons you have described right there. Absolutely. Public, staff, and Sea Org, the Aftermath Foundation, is able to help any of them. Any of them, but not necessarily all of them. You understand? People do have to qualify. It's not that anyone who asks for certain types of help is automatically going to get it. We have a vetting process, and we don't fall for any BS or any nonsense. Okay, John here. As a kid, I was locked in a room and given a sec check for not signing a Sea Org contract. Was told my confessions would be sent to my parents if I didn't sign. Yeah. Yep. That is, that happens. That happens to a lot of kids. I've heard some of the most insane stories of how kids have been recruited into the Sea Org using force and duress and threats. And the Scientologist parents just felt helpless to say anything or protest or anything because they didn't want to be seen as not being a good, dedicated Scientologist. So sad. Thank you for that, John. Let's see here. Kenda Blue. Sorry if I already asked. I was a bit late in could she be a plant by higher lords in Scientology? Boy, I think from what we've seen tonight, we know there's no way she's a plant. No way. Okay, here we go. Why Youth Canoe? I think it's just Youth Canoe with an extra Y and an extra E at the end. Ever been to Celebrity Center in Nashville? Went for a personality test as a joke when I was 19 and left terrified. Put $600 of books when I was leaving. Bought $600 of books when I was leaving. I'm not sure which one that is. I've never been to the Celebrity Center Nashville. I've never been to the normal org in Nashville. The only Celebrity Center I've ever been to is Celebrity Center International. I find it hard to believe that any of the other Celebrity Centers are even still functioning. But the fact is most of them have already closed down. I think six or eight of the Celebrity Centers have actually closed, consolidated with their nearest Scientology organization. Okay, Shay Anderson. The crazy thing is if Scientology had a skilled person with Katie's openness, they'd still be doing better than they are now. By the way, young earthers. I don't know what the young earthers reference refers to, but I do agree with what you're saying. Scientology would be doing better if they just had some good personalities handling their PR. LK Niche, sorry I am late. Well, LK, better late than never, and thank God for the replay, you know? Thank you for the comment. Okay, Heather Smith. Well, it's obvious she hasn't seen Battlefield Earth. I'm not sure which part of the interview you're referencing. Yeah, I don't know which part of the interview you're referencing there. God, I really should figure. I really do want to do a Battlefield Earth viewing party. If I can figure out how to do that without getting like a copyright strike on my channel, I will do it. That would be so much fun. LK Nitch, thank you for the super sticker. That's very generous. Okay, let's see. Jay Dice. It has actually made me more compassionate. I actually went vegan. 10 minutes around the LA org. There's a lot of homeless people. It's kind of gross. Tampa just seemed so much better. Seemed a much better choice. I know. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Scientology's made me more compassionate. I was locked in a room. What did you do? And Jay Dice, I can't remember if I actually included the section of the interview that you're talking about in the video tonight, or if you're just referencing that from memory because you watched the full interview before. But yeah, when she was mentioning why she was coming to Tampa to do her student hat course, and she's like, Tampa's just so beautiful. LA's really disgusting. And if I went to the LA org, there's just homeless people everywhere, and it's really gross. And Tampa's gorgeous, and I'm thinking of moving to Florida. Well, I guess Scientology, maybe Scientology really did make her more compassionate. Imagine what she was like before she got all that compassion. Okay, Joan G. Aaron, what you and Andrew are doing is so important. Folks, can we all give a thumbs up to Aaron and a few bucks to help the Aftermath Foundation help these people get the heck out? Thank you very much, Joan. But yeah, if you haven't given the video a thumbs up, please give the video a thumbs up. But if you're trying to donate to the Aftermath Foundation, don't do it with a super chat. Just go to the Aftermath Foundation website or the Aftermath Foundation Facebook page. That's a much better way to do it. I don't want to keep track of all that stuff. All right, Bat Goat. Ain't no party like an SP party. Oh yeah, I mean, and you know, SP TV, SP parties, it's going to get crazy. Mark and Claire are setting up a whole new system for SP merch at the SP shop. It's going to be insane. One big SP party. F. Shopes, were you ever troubled by your baldness? Oh man, go ahead, stick a knife in me, why don't you? So first of all, the only time I was troubled about it is when I found out for the first time that it was happening. So you guys hear a lot about Scientology's communication drills, the training routines. They're called TRs. Well, when I was in the Sea Org in Los Angeles, one of my positions I had in the Sea Org was overseeing all of the training and auditing at one of the big organizations on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And one of the training course rooms that I oversaw was the one where the professional TR's course was administered. And one of my favorite things to do, because I had a really good relationship with Karina, who was the TR's supervisor there, and also Penny Handy, I would go in, and on Wednesday nights or Thursday mornings, I would help coach some of the students on the TRs, the ones that they were trying to get to finish their courses. And you had to do that on a video, because for the final pass on these training routines, these communication drills, you have to take a video of it and send it to one of the RTC representatives, and they have to pass it. But the video is facing the face of the student, and I was the coach. So the video was showing the back of my head. And I got to tell you, the first time I saw the back of my head on video at the age of 23 and saw that I had a little bit of a bald spot, it was devastating. I'm not going to lie. I could have used some Scientology auditing to help me through that moment of pain and unconsciousness. I was very troubled by it. I didn't actually start fully shaving my head until the pandemic lockdowns. So for years and years and years, I would take like just clippers, and I would put just no attachment on them, or just clippers with no attachment, and buzz my head. But I never actually used like a razor. I never actually shaved my head until the pandemic. I was actually afraid of cutting my head. It turns out it's actually very hard to cut your head, especially when the skin is so tight and shiny as it is on my head. No, so I actually, I'm not troubled by my baldness at all. I think the look, luckily I have a pretty decently shaped head, so it works well for me. Thank you, F. Shopes. Thank you very much. Okay, another one from Lisa Whiffen. Are you planning on adding more things to the SP shop? We are going to be adding literally hundreds of things, because what we're doing is Mark and Claire are getting like a fulfillment provider, whatever the right word is, who literally will produce almost anything on demand. So instead of us having, one of the reasons we started talking about the bobbleheads all the time is because Mark ordered like 500 of them, and those cost money. And once you have them in inventory, they're not doing you any good sitting on the shelves. So we talk about them all the time. But once, and that's why it's the only merch that we have is the SP bracelets and the bobbleheads, is because we have to buy that inventory. But they are having, they're just doing a deal with some merch fulfillment provider where they will produce things on demand so that we don't actually have to have any inventory. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. Okay, Jay Dice. Scammy brokers told people to reapply at variable rates. Yeah, spikes over and over again. That would only work until the crash. So here's the one thing I don't know, because I wasn't actually involved in real estate other than just owning like 1 or 2 properties back then. And I never had variable interest loans. The only thing, like even if even if she had applied for, even if she had refinanced the property at a very high interest rate. No, you're not saying high interest rates. You're saying variable rates. Okay, I'm actually getting what you're saying. Yeah, I can see how she could have been washed out of her property. I can see. Okay, here we go. Steve Britton. If you get no hat, then what the hell is a hat? Hat is L. Ron Hubbard's word for a job. So L. Ron Hubbard wrote a policy. He talks about it comes from like trains and train engineers, where I guess if you're working around a railroad, people who have different jobs have different hats. So that's what L. Ron Hubbard said. So hat means job. So doing a course called the student hat means you're learning how to be a student, how to do the job of a student, how to do studenting. And it's a word that gets used in Scientology all the time. Put your hat on. Someone needs to hat this person. It means train them on how to do their job. Whose hat am I wearing? Means whose job am I doing right now? Who's not doing their job that I'm having to do this right now? That's what it means, Stephen. Thank you so much. JLD is me. How do her beliefs and responses compare to you in Scientology? Well, I'd like to think that my commentary to what she said sort of answered that question. Otherwise, it would be impossible for me to answer that question completely. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Cat AC/DC fan, welcome back. Do you think what they have her do will tarnish her shallow beliefs? I'm willing to bet she has never done a set of lower ethics conditions before. And it's not like doing a set of lower ethics conditions is like, it's not always horrible. You can, you're going to do lower ethics conditions a million times in Scientology. It's not like it's always horrible. I think whatever they have her do, let me think about this. If they handle her in a way that makes her go, oh, I'm not allowed to say the things that I think are right. I'm not allowed to speak. Because remember, she said, I've been in Scientology for 9 years and they've never told me anything I had to do. I've always just done it on my own. Okay, well, maybe this will actually be the first time they tell her, no, you can't just do whatever you want to do. No, you can't say that even though it's true. We do get to tell you who you can communicate with and what you can communicate. Maybe that will be enough to get her to wake up, but I doubt it because she's infatuated with Tom Cruise. Just wait, I got a video to show you. Okay, Gracie Wingfield. My university had a ton of LRH books mailed to an office. Yeah. Scientology loves mailing all their materials to libraries, university libraries, public libraries, all sorts of libraries. And even some private Scientologists will do the same thing. Thank you for that, Gracie. Annette, good thing you have cult experience with 3 teen girls. Yeah. My girls are remarkably normal and well-adjusted for having 2 former Scientologist parents, former Sea Org member parents. Thank you for that. Cyborg Scientology. Who else within Grant Cardone's team are Scientologists? I'm thinking of Jared Glant and Ryan Secco specifically. I do think they're both Scientologists, but I'm not 100% certain. I could find out with a quick Google search. I do get emails from people at Miami Org with little notices when one of Grant Cardone's executives or sales staff goes in there to join Scientology. So a lot of them are Scientologists. I just can't speak with high levels of certainty about those 2 individuals. It would be very easy for me to say that they are, and I do believe that they are, but I could be wrong. Thank you for that. Chitza, thank you for the super sticker. And Winona, thank you for that super sticker. And Kristen, what does DM do on a daily basis? Mike Rinder would be the real expert on answering this question, but he did actually answer this question in one of our live streams. Most of his time, there's not just one answer here. A large chunk of his time has to do with Scientology's Ideal Org program, which is this program where every Scientology org is supposed to fundraise and buy a new 50,000 square foot building. And so Miscavige has set it up so that he's sort of the ultimate approval. He has final authority, final say on all decisions relating to these ideal orgs. He essentially micromanages people all over the world. He also sees as part of his job to protect the purity of Scientology. And anyway, that gets into a longer conversation that we probably don't want to get into right now. And then he also plays video games. So there's that. Chitsa, I think that's a new one. Thank you for that. RV at the beach. Ding, ding, ding. Winner. You must have been referring to something that was happening in the live stream at that specific time. Okay, scrolling down. Oh, here we go. Anon, I really enjoyed watching my question about Xenu at the end. Happened to bring out so much BS in Katie about science, etc. Thank you for doing what you do. Anon, you must have been howling when she started talking about dinosaurs and 75 million years. It was amazing. I was howling listening to that live. I was like, oh my God, she's talking about dinosaurs and 6,000 years. I was like, oh, Jesus. Thank you for that, Anon. Much appreciated. F. Shobes, Beck isn't discussed as much as TC, but has he brought people into the church? I actually just don't know. Beck has distanced himself from Scientology. He has in an interview last year actually said that not only is he not a Scientologist, but he's actually never been one. That was just his dad's thing. That's probably his way to sort of circumvent the rule about not being allowed to publicly depart Scientology. Are you really departing something if what you're actually saying is that you were never in it to begin with? The truth is Beck's a liar. He's very much a Scientologist, or at least was. Maybe he's not anymore. But I honestly don't know if Beck has ever brought anyone into Scientology. Thank you for that, F. Shopes. Okay, Enquiza Tiff. She makes me nervous. Love the Lex clips. The Lex clips are on fire. One of the clips he published got 100,000 views. Another one of the clips got 150,000 views. It's crazy. The clip about Shelly Miscavige, though, check it out. It's hilarious. I'm getting absolutely annihilated in the comments section of that clip. Pretty funny. Okay, Shay Anderson. Katie was talking about the age of the Earth, arguing it as much younger than 4.6 billion years. She's mimicking the 6,000 young. Oh, yes, the 6,000-year-old young Earthers. I get it, Shay. I get it. Yes. And I'll tell you what, no other Scientologist, I said this before, I'll say it again. No other Scientologist would argue that the Earth is younger than science thinks it is. They would argue that it's much, much older. Okay. I see another one here. LK Niche is back. I did a lot of crying when I lost my hair, but they have the most beautiful wigs out for women. I'm not bothered anymore. Well, that did take a turn when you mentioned women. So yes, I can see definitely that a woman would have more trauma associated with the loss of one's hair than a man. Bruce Willis made it okay for all of us, but you guys, the women, you guys at least have Jada Pinkett Smith, right? I mean, is it too soon? Can I say that? Oh, when worlds collide. Thank you, LK Niche. And the truth is, they do have with the wigs. I watched a YouTube video recently of a woman. I don't know. She has alopecia. It's a young woman. She has alopecia, and she did a video about. It wasn't really about alopecia. The video was about her wigs. You cannot tell that I say a woman. It's a young girl, maybe like in her 20s. You cannot tell that these wigs are wigs. It's absolutely incredible what they can do these days. Joshua Thaxton. IRC, if I recall correctly, you only did the purification rundown like Kate, right? Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, I did a lot more than the purification rundown, don't get me wrong. But the only grade chart auditing action that I attested to was the purification rundown. I never did the Scientology drug rundown. I never did the TRs and objectives. I never did the happiness rundown. I never finished any grades. I never attested to clear. I got an awful lot of sec checking and an awful lot of life repair and int rundowns and list verification corrections and a whole bunch of bullshit that made me pretty much hate getting auditing. Okay, Shauna P. Law Nerd. Aaron knitted Xenu fit on your Rinder bobble. Yes, in fact, that is specifically what this was knitted for. A viewer sent these. This was knitted specifically for Bobble Mike. It's not just a coincidence that it fits perfectly on Bobble Mike. It's incredible. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, let's see. Shay again. Nothing hotter than a bald man with a nice beard. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You guys noticed John Travolta finally decided to stop wearing his wig, and he's also gone full bald beard look. Okay, let's see. Allie, come on, Aaron, bring Dr. Berg or have Andrew bring him. I could only dream. Okay, before we wrap this up here, let me show you the clip of Katie talking about Tom Cruise on the red carpet in an interview. Let me pull this up right here and share it here. Hide that comment there. And here we go. Wait, is it working? Wait. Oh, need my earpiece. Sorry, guys. Hey, that's the wrong gosh darn video. What's happening? Turn that off. Okay, hold on.
And if you could work with any male superstar, actor, celebrity, who would it be?
Wow, that is a very easy question. I didn't even have to really think about it. It would be Tom Cruise.
Oh, you know, he just got injured last week. Did you see that?
I did see the video.
They're playing it over and over and over again. He does his own stunts, but why Tom Cruise?
You know, I just think he's fantastic. When I was growing up in the 80s, he was just larger than life. And back then, you had to be multi-talented in order to be a superstar. You had to know how to sing, you had to know how to dance, you had to be good looking, you had to be good with people. And he is just all of those things.
He's got it all together, right?
He's been in this business for, what, over 30 years? And I don't think anything he's ever done has been considered a flop. I mean, can you think of something that was just an absolute flop?
Lions for Lambs?
Nothing.
Of which I think Oprah had him on, and that was true. Every single film has made a profit. Every single film.
Well, I think it's because he gives it his all. I mean, everything he does, he gives it like 110%. And he is willing to.
She's like, he can give me 110%. Yeah. So by the time she did that interview on the red carpet, she was already a Scientologist. I checked. If you Google, because the interview there just made reference to Tom breaking his ankle in that Mission Impossible stunt. And I Googled, when did that happen? She was already a Scientologist. So that's when it sort of came together for me. And I'm like, that's how she ended up finding Andrew, because she's all about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise came to her in her dreams and got her into Scientology. And Andrew's just all over Twitter and YouTube with Tom Cruise content. And so I think Katie, and I didn't show you guys most of the Tom Cruise stuff that she spoke about with Andrew. She wouldn't shut up about Tom Cruise. So that's what look, that's what it is. She's angling to be the next Katie Cruise. Okay, I see there's hold on, guys. Aaron. Okay, there's two more. I just don't want to ignore. Okay. Kristen Molenkamp. How does Scientology justify charging thousands for a class? Scientology says we're here to make the able more able. That basically is kind of code for we're here to help people with money make even more money. There's also a concept that gets, circulated in Scientology that if you don't pay a lot for it, then you don't value it. So it's kind of silly, but it has there's some shades of applicability to other industries. That's the most common explanations. Thank you, Kristen. And Anna Banana, way off topic. Who is that brilliant munchkin at the end of your shows? That is my youngest daughter, Brisbane. And she doesn't play the guitar she doesn't play the guitar. And she doesn't particularly sing. But she really loved doing those things when she was tiny. It was a Tom Cruise inception. All right, everyone, that's all we've got. Thanks for sticking through this whole thing with me. It's been a long one, but this was a lot of fun. And so much more to come on SPTV, you guys. Much more to come tomorrow and later this week. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click